Welcome to Corporate Inc.'s showcase of our current progress with our technical interview software. Today we're going to walk you through a couple scenarios, and I am going to start us off with our data. So we have two different JSON files affiliated with our program, one that stores our users and one that stores our questions. Let's take a quick look at our users JSON. So as you'll see, we have 5 users currently in our users JSON. We have a student, an editor, an admin, Sullivan Sparrow, and Jimmy Bauer. Now, Sullivan Sparrow and Jimmy Bauer will be in our upcoming scenarios, so make sure to keep an eye out for them. Let's quickly move on to our UML diagram to see exactly what makes up a user. So you'll see our user is a parent class to the 3 different types of accounts that you're able to have in our program: a student, an editor, or an admin account. Now, different accounts have different ways of interacting with their software. For example, students are able to answer these questions and they also have a daily streak. Editors are able to create, edit, and delete questions, and admins are able to have the same capabilities as an editor, but also delete and edit users. The only child class in this set that is able to be promoted to a different child class is student, which can be promoted from student to editor. Now let's move back into our code and take a quick look at our questions JSON file. So we have currently 4 questions in our questions JSON file. We have this first. This is basically just a filler question. It won't be shown in any of our scenarios. Now we have a binary search tree implementation, and you'll see that these questions all have sections and comments, and the comments have sections, and so on. We also have binary search tree traversal, which the same way it has sections, comments, replies to these comments. Then we have this how would you react question. Let's switch back over to our UML to see the relationship between all these different classes. So here we are. Our question class has a compositional relationship with our comment and section classes, meaning that the question class has an array list of both comments and sections. Now, how does this kind of affect our software? So students are able to submit their solution to a question by adding a comment and tagging it with that particular tag, which adds it to our array of comments inside the question class. They are also able to have other tags on their comment, whereas also like a hint or having a question about the question, which also gets added to our array list of comments. Now, both comments and questions have an array list of sections. This allows our comments and questions to be a bit more detailed, allows the author of these to add in code and be like, oh, this will be helpful, or actually showcase their solution. So it allows the program to be a lot more effective in helping the students really learn these questions and helping them be more successful in upcoming interviews. Now back to our driver, let's hop in to our first scenario.
In the first part of scenario 1, we have our user, Sally Sparrow. Sally wants to create an account, so she inputs all of her information. However, another user, her brother Sullivan Sparrow, already made an account with this same info. To start, the program calls the create account method within the interview application. This method first checks to see if any info is missing, then to see if the account already exists. If either of these return true, the method returns null. Otherwise, a new student account is created. Because a user already exists, it returned null, and Sally cannot create an account. In the second part of our scenario, Sally tries again with new credentials and successfully creates an account. The create account method in interview application depends on the user list class to manage users. It first calls search user from user list to check for an existing account. If it doesn't exist, then a new student object is created. This shows both a dependency relationship and an inheritance relationship. All accounts default to student accounts, and Sally wants an editor account. We call the toEditor method in interview application to change this and update her role to editor. Sally can now log into her account and can see that she has the role of editor. In the third part of our scenario, Sally would like to create a question. We call add question from the interview application, which then calls add question from question list, that then takes the parameters and creates a new question, and adds it to the list of all existing questions. The add question method in interview application depends on the question list class to create and store questions. It first checks the user's role to make sure they are an admin or editor, then calls add question in question list. This is a dependency relationship. Sally would also like to add sections to her question, which is done by calling add section from question, which then creates a new section, and adds it to the array list of sections for that question. After adding all 3 sections, we get our complete question. Sally would now like to add 2 solutions to her question. Our team decided to combine comments and solutions into one and have them only be comments. This decision made the most sense to us because both elements have a similar structure. To differentiate between comments and solutions, we decided to have a comments tag, which can be one of the following: question, solution, editor solution, discussion, or hint. When Sally creates her comment with her solutions, she will choose the tag editor solution, which will then allow other users to see the official solution to her question. If users want to suggest their own solution, they will choose the tag solution for their comment. After Sally creates her comment, she adds 2 sections to it. This is done similarly to adding sections to questions. The comment is then added to the question. She repeats this process for her solution too, and adds the second comment to the question. These are her 2 solutions. When she's done, Sally then logs out, which then saves all of her questions and her account to our JSON files. If we look at our user's JSON file, we can see Sally's account and we can see her brother's account. If we look at our questions JSON file, we can see Sally's new question she created with her solutions.
I will be presenting scenario 2, Jimmy Bauer session. The purpose of this scenario is to show a full daily use workflow in our interview practice app, both what a student experiences and how the system supports learning. First, Jimmy logs in successfully and immediately sees his current daily streak. In this scenario, he starts with an 8-day streak. Next, the system generates a daily challenge that's tailored to Jimmy. The scenario determines the target difficulty based on how many courses he's taken. Fewer courses maps to easier problems. More courses, the harder ones. And for example here, Jimmy's taken 3 courses, and in our code that maps to a medium difficulty problem. It filters the question bank by that difficulty, and then selects a question Jimmy hasn't answered yet. So it's both level appropriate, and it's one he hasn't done yet. Once the daily challenge is chosen, Jimmy can view all of the question details. That's the title, the difficulty, type of question, the discipline, the courses, the tags, the description of the question, all the sections, and all the hints. Then he checks the solutions. Importantly, we identify solution by comment tags, so the app can separate general discussion from answers. Jimmy then interacts with the content. He posts a question as a reply on the second solution. This supports discussion directly on solution threads. As you can see, here's his comments. After that, Jimmy exports the question and its entire comment thread into a text file, jimmy.txt, which is useful for offline review or if he wants practice notes. Take a look here. This export includes the question details, the comments, and nested replies in this easily readable format. Finally, Jimmy uses our search function. He searches for a binary search tree and gets matching question options. And here are the results of his searching. At the end of scenario, his daily streak is incremented by 1 and he's logged out. So the outcome of this scenario is personalized practice, interaction, and retention all in one scenario.
If we look at the questions JSON file, we can see Jimmy's new comment.
This is the general overview in UML of the Corporate Inc. USC Programming Practice Project. It has 2 main classes, the user class and the question class. In the question class, it's going to have a bunch of different information that you're going to need for a question. The description, the title, and different sections, which is how we made or modularize the idea of how you would store multiple files or code or more text sections. And each question has an array list of these sections. It also has an array list of comments, and each comment has its own title, general comment, and then sections so that you can have a file in the comment. And It's got a rating. Comments also have many comments on them. Comments have tags, uh, as do questions. Questions have tags for course, question, type, difficulty, discipline, to make it easy to search for these questions. And you can search for questions and you can find the author of a question um, from a question. And then the questions are stored in a question list, and you can add questions to the question list, get questions by UUID, and you can save those questions, and those questions in the question list will be written to the JSON using the data writer and loaded from the JSON using the data loader. And the user class has standard user stuff, usernames, password to protect the thing, date of birth, some USC information, and then the student has a list of questions solved, courses taken, USC ID, a streak, and there's an increment streak, and then to editor in case the student needs to make needs to get the permission to make questions, and then the editor will have questions made, and then their role stored to gatekeep a student from doing it. And then they can add question, edit question, delete question, and then the admin has user creation powers and user deletion powers, and they can make other admins. And this is also stored using the data loader or using the data writer, and it's stored in a user list. And then the interview application is just the facade. It's how you get access to all of these functions.